Welcome to our third webinar, and this one is about setting up your own dashboards and how our CTO Craig Huber is going to walk you through how to do that. The reason we thought this was important for us to bring to you today was quite honestly that we think it's important that we show value outside of just our particular product. And I'll tell you why. As we came into the FedEx market, the ISP ecosystem, one of the things that we heard constantly from everybody was the complaint that they just get penny ante to death. And it was like a death by 1,000 cuts with all the different subscriptions it took to build your business, to manage your business, to grow your business, to get the insight, to be the kind of ISP that you needed to be able to be successful. And so we said, well, we know that our product is going to bring real value. How can we help facilitate change and the ability to be successful outside of our area of expertise, which is routing, infinite loop routing in particular. And so Craig had a great idea a couple of weeks ago, like, hey, why don't we show people that you really don't have to pay for some of this visibility into your data. You can get it with a minimal subscription to some of the LLMs that are out there, like Claude and OpenAI, et cetera. So without further ado, we're going to kick this over to Craig and let Craig show you some pretty cool things that will give you the visibility that some people make you pay for, that's sitting there like a gold mine right underneath you. So we hope that you enjoy this. Later on in the meeting, after Craig does his thing, we'll have some Q&A, and then we're going to introduce you to a friend of ours. They have a great company called LRGO. If you don't know what a GPO is, they'll be able to explain that to you. And really, it's just another way to bring value through a network. So, like as I said, I'm going to get Craig on here, and he will walk through the next step.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Craig Huber, CTO at Rising Tide, and looking forward to sharing some things that you can do with AI today. Thank you for filling out some of the polls. It's good to see that some people are actually subscribing to some of these tools, which will make this a lot easier as you get into it. So I kind of have two main goals for today. One is to kind of open your eyes to know what's possible. I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of you, I see right now, about 80% of you are using ChatGPT or Gemini for simple Q&A. So, maybe it's asking simple math questions or things like that, but there's a lot more you can do with it, even on the free version. So what I'm going to show you today is how you can gain some additional insight from your business for free. Certainly, if you pay for the next level up on any of these packages for like $20 a month, you'll get faster speeds and you'll be able to do a few more things. But you should be able to do most of this with just a basic free subscription if you want to. So the second thing I wanted to show you is really you already have your data, right? So paying someone, the way things used to be is you'd have to upload your maybe your daily service worksheets or your payroll data or something to get additional insights. And really, while you still can do that if you want to, it's really not necessary anymore, because you might be uploading your sheets and say, well, I kind of like these dashboards, but I really wanted to say this, or I really wanted to do this, or I really wanted to highlight this particular factor. So what you can do now with AI is actually bring that in and design it yourself, exactly what you want to see on a daily, weekly basis. So today, what we are going to be focusing on are the daily service worksheets, because it's something everybody's very familiar with. But the same principles apply to charge statements, FCC data, truck maintenance, sort of any other data you might have about your business. And then the other cool thing is you don't really need to be an Excel wizard. I'm sure you guys have downloaded Excel sheets from DSW and looked at them and tried to create some pivot tables in the past. But you don't need to do any of that. You don't need to know how to create formulas. AI will just do it right for you. So what I'm going to do is kind of dive right in here. I really don't have any slides. I wanted to make this a somewhat live and interactive session. So, and again, if you do have any questions as you go forward, please do let me know and just post them in the chat, and I'll try and answer some as we go if it's relevant. Otherwise, we'll get to the Q&A at the end. Can somebody give me a thumbs up, see if everybody can see my screen okay? Anybody? All right, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of walk through. I've pre-made some of these because one of the things you'll notice about chat, like when you're asking a simple math question, it responds pretty quickly. But if you're asking it to take a week's worth of data and do some analysis, it might take a minute, 2 minutes. So in order to speed along some of this, I did pre-make some of these, but we will do some live demos of this towards the end. So what I did here is, and I know everybody's very familiar with these sheets. So thank you to Michael, one of our clients, for allowing me to use some of their data as we go through this demo. But these are the daily service worksheets that you all are very familiar with, showing driver performance, stops, pickups, ILS issues, things like that. So all I did was go into, and I'm actually using Claude in this case, and I should take a slight tangent and say it doesn't really matter which one you use. I prefer Claude. We've been doing a lot of AI work here at Rising Tide, and we do evaluate different models, different tools. Tend to prefer Claude at this point, although OpenAI at times has been as good. So some of this is, if you already have an OpenAI or ChatGPT subscription, try it, give it a shot, and see if that works for you. If it doesn't, try one of the other ones for free and see which one gives you the best results. So all I did is upload a bunch of driver dashboard, the DSW worksheets. So I uploaded a week's worth of data and then just enter this simple prompt, right? You can read this for yourself, but you can start as simple or as technical as you want to. And I just said, all right, let's just go with something very simple. And these are kind of some of the things I might want to look at. So go ahead and build me a dashboard, right? And what you can see is after some time, it did go ahead and build it. It looked at kind of what data is available, and as well as built a quick dashboard for me. So this is the first version of what it created with just that prompt. That's all it did, was this couple of sentences, and the DSW sheets imported all of this data. So this gives you, a decent overview of how many stops did we do during the week. And this is from what have we got? May 3rd to May 9th. So Sunday to Saturday. How many code 85 failures, total mileage. Also built out, you can do some automatic highlighting and turn on and off drivers. And remember, this was literally 3 minutes worth of work of uploading. Well, it takes a little bit longer to download the DSW worksheets, let's just say that, versus actually getting it created this way. So we got some simple things: stop hour heat map, driver leaderboard. So again, this may or may not be what you want to look at, but remember, this was one prompt and the AI doing some analysis on, all right, this is kind of what I see in the data. So what if you wanted to go and go a little bit further down and say, all right, what if I want to add a heat map showing late deliveries by day and driver? And as you all know, in DSW, it's not really, late delivery isn't a section. It's kind of talking about, well, do you want code 85s? Do you want all exceptions? So I just said, oh, let's just go with all exceptions. And you can kind of read through what it's doing while it's creating these things. But the real key is getting to, okay, created a new panel, default metric of exceptions. Here's the top offenders for the week. And let me open up the one that it just created with this heat map. So this is late deliveries exceptions per day. And you can, again, this is all customizable. You just tell the AI what I want to see, but now this has created a nice heat map by day, by driver, to see who's got exceptions. Potentially go and talk to Mr. Sylvia about Tuesday was a bad day. What happened on Tuesday? Or if you have, okay, in this case, and I do know why some of these are happening, which we'll share in one of the other sessions here. So let's see. I don't know if there's any questions so far. Can you automate DSW? We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, good questions. So this is all good. Next one, let's go to another alternate view of the world, because this is, again, a very similar prompt, but you might get different results. So you'll notice this one has drivers up top, right? So just again, all my point is here is to show you what's possible. If you want to say, I want selectable by day, by driver, that's exactly what it's going to give you, and it'll build this. You say, I don't want these colors. I would rather have a dark mode. Sure, no problem, right? All you do is you prompt it and talk about, what do I want to see next? So again, I'm sure some of you have seen similar driver performance metrics on other alter platforms, or maybe you try to create these yourself in Excel, but this is exactly what you can do by yourself with a simple subscription. So let's do something a little different. Let's go into, so I'm actually going to do this one live just so you get a sense for how this actually does go, and we'll do something a little bit different. So I'm going to take all of I've got another week's worth of DSW worksheets, and this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to say, all right, paste this in. I want to say, I don't really care about graphs and charts. I care about results. I want to know, load these files, understand their structure of the contact, and let's have a conversation about it. So while this is churning in the background, trying to load up all these files, and it's kind of doing its thing, I actually do have one of these loaded. So we'll come back to this in a second, just as you're seeing how this runs. This is the exact same prompt that we just ran before, and what you'll see is, okay, here's what I'm working with. Contract service area, 1 sheet per day. I can see these routes, daily active drivers, metrics collected, so on. And this is the other neat thing, that you all know that FedEx has some spectacular data sometimes. There was a particular route that had 1.1 million routes or miles on the route. So obviously that's not a correct mileage. So there was some discrepancy in DSW, and it picked that up and flagged and said, I'm going to kick this out, instead of saying that you actually had a route that ran 1.1 million miles. So this is one of the things that's really cool, is like, all right, so now you have loaded the data. Tell me what's weird, finding anomalies, find patterns that I haven't noticed, who maybe they have drivers that are performing wildly different day by day. And you can ask it whatever you want to. And so we did this just for the heck of it and said, here's what it kicked out. And I think this is super interesting, in saying, this particular driver on LM52 is bleeding exceptions, right? So it'll list everything out, and I can actually go, if I wanted to, and key in on, let's deep dive into on LM52. And let's get down here and let's see what it kind of comes up with. So you start to get the sense of like, and I think this is where the real value is. Yeah, metrics are cool, dashboards are cool, but having a conversation with the data and seeing, what am I missing? What am I not thinking about? Because it's, the AI in this case is not just looking at your spreadsheets. It's also looking at and has knowledge of, generally speaking, doesn't necessarily have FedEx contractor knowledge unless you teach it. It does have knowledge about how does last mile delivery work? How do packages get delivered? Kind of getting a sense for what driver performance means in stops per hour or exceptions, et cetera, right? So this is taking a little bit of time on this one. So let this one keep going. Well, let's see how the other one's done. So this is the one we just kicked off a few minutes ago. So it actually loaded the 7 files, active drivers per day. So you're getting a sense for, like, again, how these things work. So this guy is coming back with the results. Is he? Nope, not yet. Still working on it. One of the things that I was going to talk earlier about, in this particular CSA, they have some caged routes, which essentially, the AI doesn't necessarily know that this work area is broken, because it's actually not broken. We're actually pushing things into a cage to hold for another day. But this is something you could teach the AI and say, hey, anytime there's a cage route, don't think of that as an issue, and that, some driver's having a performance problem. So the more you teach the AI, the more and I say teach on purpose, the more you tell the AI about your data set, about your operation, the more it remembers when it starts to do these things and says, okay, now that I've got a a set of weeklies. There's nothing preventing me from now downloading a month's worth of DSW data and getting trend analysis, or even a quarter's worth. And it starts to use the memory the memory you instill it at. Who are your drivers? Who are the ones that are constantly performing at the best, and how do I take care of them? I think the other thing that is an interesting one, like let's see if I could do something like this. Hopefully this one comes back a little bit quicker. Another thing that, while this is working on it, and it's also nice that I can have two different sessions running, so I can actually have it's on the same set of data and ask it different questions. But something like this. So I don't know how many of y'all do one-on-ones weekly with your drivers, or maybe monthly, that you could actually have the AI look at the actual data. So it's actually using factual data on their, maybe their did not attempts just are too high, or they're missing time critical pickups, right? You can actually pull that data out of DSW and have talking points for all of your drivers when you go in and speak with them, saying, here's things that, I think we can do a little bit better, or here's things, man, you are doing an amazing job, but, we need to flag a few days that you had some, stops per hour drop. What happened? Did you have a bad day with your family, or was there something else on your mind, right? So I think really getting a sense for, like, this is a tool in your toolbox, and imagine that is a consultant sitting next to you that you can ask it questions about your data and figure out how you become a better CSA, better owner. And we can go on and on for this and ask all sorts of questions, but I think one of the interesting things that I would like to share, give me 1 second, is somebody had actually asked this question. Let's see if I can find it. Okay. Okay. So obviously you're all very familiar with DSW. And if you've ever done this, and I'm sure you have, if you're trying to do any Excel work, you have to sit here and click the date and click search, wait for it to search, and then click the Excel spreadsheet icon, wait for it to download. There's a better way. So there's a tool called TamperMonkey, which is actually not AI driven. It's actually straight up JavaScript and I built this for a couple of our customers to auto download DSW worksheets. So essentially I can say, select the from date, select the to date, and then just start the loop and just walk away. And you can watch it. They're waiting for results here, downloading, and it just will sit there and download all of the files for you. So now you will have your daily service worksheets for it as long as you want. Download them weekly, go to at the end of the week, or download at the end of the month. If you want to use, if you happen to be an Excel guru, great, go ahead and build your pivot tables, or if you're not, go build them out using AI. So that's the long and short of what I wanted to share, and I really wanted to get to some questions, and hopefully I've opened some eyes here and said what's possible, what can you do with AI, and really the key thing is you don't need to know how to code, you don't need to know how to do Excel, you don't need to know how to build HTML dashboards or JavaScript. You just need to know what to ask. And if you don't know what to ask, the other thing is you can ask the AI, I'm not sure where to start. What do you think I should do? Give me your insights based on this, and start with that. So, don't think you're behind the curve. There's still quite a bit of, like, you can catch up very, very quickly just by starting to use it and experimenting. And I think you'd be surprised at how fast you build something that's actually quite useful for your business. Yeah.
Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure, because sometimes we have technical difficulties. Craig, can you hear?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ian. You have been wildly involved in this chat. So I definitely want to get to all of your questions. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Tovey. I am an advisor to GroundSwell and just absolutely love this product. From the first time I heard about it a year ago, I just thought, wow, GroundSwell is amazing. And they are just so technologically advanced in this space that I thought that they needed to use their skills to come on and give you guys this free info session. And they were nice enough to oblige me. So Ian, I want to start with you guys or with you. He asks Craig, how did we create this and where do we find the auto download tool?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I would suggest at the end of this, we'll have links to our Slack channel. So definitely want to join Slack. Well, I'm happy to answer any other further questions there. But the tool that I built, I'll make a post on Slack to show how I built it and how you could build it if you want to, or if you want to actually use the one that we built. Happy to share that with you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
And that is not something that, by the way, that we need to install. That's everybody on their own browser. You install it, you set it up, and I can I'll have some docs to walk you through how to set it up, but it's all yours.
Yes, Ian, I will link the Slack channel, or Jeff can link it, or Scott can link it here in the chat, but we'll get that for you. You asked what is the name of the JS tool. He said that. What services are you offering? We will get to that. Honestly, I wanted this session to be just a free inform session on ways that you guys could save money based on things that we've created that we just want to give you for free. We're not trying to sell you anything on this. I will be happy to tell you about GroundSwell's product, as would Jeff, as would Craig. But right now I want to just keep it versed on giving you guys free information on how to own your data and not pay. And I don't want to call them predatory, but I don't want you guys to have to pay to own and see your data. So, but thank you, Matthew. We will get into that if you're interested.
Hey, Tony.
Yes, go ahead.
After this meeting, everybody that signed up will get you, as soon as the meeting ends, you'll get a screen. On that screen will be the opportunity to click to join the Slack link or schedule a meeting to talk to us or whatever. Those options will be on there.
Sure. Thank you.
If you stay on for just a couple seconds, you'll see that screen pop up. And then as far as the recording, we don't send it out from the meeting, but they are posted on the Slack channel. So if you want to go back over here and step by step go through what Craig is saying, you can do that on the Slack channel recording. You would also be able to ask the team and DM anybody. But as Craig said, we'll continue to make posts to make sure that you understand how to do it, where to go, what tool to use. If you use our tool, that's free also. But that will be on the Slack channel, which is free.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll get into more about why we created the Slack channel as well. So all very good questions, but I want to get to the ones that are the heart of what Craig's speaking. And so Craig, I think this is going to be a common theme. I've seen a couple of them ask this question, but when you're doing a comparison, like a side-by-side, because you can get overwhelmed with all the different tools, Gemini versus Claude versus Grok versus ChatGPT, they all have their strengths. So do you mind talking about, John asked, he's been using Gemini to make a payroll spreadsheet, but to actually create dashboards and see the things that we're doing with like performance and profitability and the routes and the drivers. Would you say that Claude is a little bit more of a robust, more intuitive program? Can you give a little bit more detail into that?
Sure. Yeah, that depends on the week, honestly.
Yeah.
And this is the tricky part. And that's part of why we're here, is to help weed through this and say, here's what we would recommend. Not that we're the foremost experts in the world on it, but we're using this daily, not only for building our platform, but for also helping everybody else, as well as, sales. I mean, everything we do is AI driven, right? We realize trying to keep a lean team and really leverage the technology and the tools that are out there today. So, the easy answer is, where I sit right now, Claude's my go-to. I constantly will take probably, once or twice a month, I will take a detour of a day and experiment with my current workload on, all right, let's go check out what GPT-5.5 is doing or what Gemini Pro is doing today. And what I find is each model is better at certain things, but as a general sense, I find that Claude's better at writing for sure. And then UI design. So if you're if you're trying to build dashboards, because I actually did try and run this exact same experiment in OpenAI's Codex or ChatGPT, and it didn't really look anywhere near what I liked. As also the data was not as crisp as it was in Claude. So sometimes, if you want, and this maybe is an experiment for you all, is take a very simple but meaningful challenge and give it to each one, and just fire off all on the free one and see what happens, and see what you like. And you'll find that you tend to get better results with one versus the other two, and then stick with that. The other thing that I would say, because they're just kind of hitting on, so I don't remember if it was Ian that asked this, like, does it know about FedEx routes? Well, the other thing that I've found is the more context you give a model, the better it's going to do. So I purposefully gave a very nondescript prompt to saying, just do what you think is right. And it presented that, which is pretty good. But you can get very, very specific on the prompt, saying, I want these colors, I want these fonts, I want this, these 5 dashboards, I want to do these 5 things, and it will do exactly that. So, and you can also teach it about FedEx routes. For those who, you can go on my biz account and you get all the news feeds, or you can teach it, this is what a FedEx route is. This is how many drive, the more you teach it context, the better it's going to be. So the easy answer is find what's comfortable for you. For me personally, right now, it's Claude, and that seems to be the best all around that I've been using.
Yeah, I think for just the technology aspect, its robustness is probably the preferred one, especially from like people who have developer-centric minds and just love data.
Yep.
For me, coming from a recruiting background and owning a recruiting business, I personally love ChatGPT. I know that is different than what we're talking about, and I'm digressing a little
That's
bit.
okay.
But to your point, Craig, is that I had to try Nano Banana, which I know, guys, that sounds made up, but it is, it's an image creator that Jeff actually, who you just heard from, told me about. And he loves Nano Banana for creating like visuals and posts and things like that. I personally hate it. I prompt it and it hates me. It hates my voice. It hates everything about me. And it does not want to like gel with me. But for me, ChatGPT is great. I'm like, hey, I have this webinar coming up. This is my audience. I explain it to them. I talk a little bit about myself and like my background. And then it creates this visual that like appeals to me and it resonates. And so like, I'm a huge proponent of ChatGPT when I'm trying to create visuals. And so if you guys want to create like free ads to post on like your FedEx contingency Facebook groups, and you want it to look visually enticing, like try ChatGPT, try Nano Banana through Gemini, try Grok, and you'll see which ones kind of like fit your personality and fit your style. But to Craig's point, the more that you give it, the more it learns. And that's what makes this so powerful, is it's learning, it's just the future. So I don't think we have any other questions. Thank you guys for filling out the poll. Like we said, this is going to be available on the Slack channel, and we will send you guys that link. But I think that we are, Jeff, do you think that we are ready to hear from our partners at LRGO about what GPOs are and their new product that they're bringing to the network?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. And if you guys have any more questions that you think about at the end,
I was gonna say I'm here on the whole time. So if you forgot about something, go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm happy to try and answer it while we're listening.
Absolutely.
Thanks everybody.
Yes. Thank you.
Let me see here. You'll have to bear with us. Is there a way to put the presentation up, or we'll just kind of talk to it, guys? This is Steve Cross with LRG GPO, and with Brian Townsend. We've got a deck, but I've never used this program here. Let's see.
You should be able to present if you do the little icon that has the TV screen at the bottom, and that says start sharing your screen, and that should be able to allow you to pull up your deck. And if not, let me know. Okay. Yeah, we see it.
All right. Well, super. Well, guys, we're excited to be here, and we're very excited about partnering with GroundSwell. I mean, I couldn't think of an organization that really kind of matches our synergies in what we're trying to do in the group purchasing space. With group purchasing, we're all about reducing cost, improving operational profitability. And we really thought we're very aligned. There's a lot of synergies of what we're trying to do for this industry. But just give you a high level of GPOs, we'll kind of walk through group purchasing in general, kind of how it got started. Brian here was one of the actual, trailblazers in the industry, creating the industry for healthcare. But we'll talk a little more about that. But overall, we're going out, we're negotiating contracts on behalf of the collective to get better buying power for our members. And we'll walk through that here right quick. But just a little background, I've been in the GPO space for about 12 years. I had about 8 years experience in logistics supply chain, 5 years with a consultant, and 3 years actually with a direct carrier. So very familiar with the industry, very familiar with last mile. It's been a topic of discussion, I think, in the logistics world for 30 years now. So we're excited about what's happening in the industry and how we can be a part of helping make it more profitable for everybody. Brian Townsend, my partner, Brian actually helped start Health Trust, which is one of the largest healthcare GPOs in the United States. There's about 3 big ones, but healthcare really created the GPO industry. So they started working together just to buy better and purchase things. So currently today, Health Trust manages about $64 billion in spend across all their systems. Additionally, there's two other big ones one's around 100 billion, one's around 50 billion that are big in that space. But Brian's unique as well. Not only did he help start the GPO space, he was actually the CFO of a construction company that went from 1 million to 40 million in a year. So he's been very involved in growth organizations. And finally, the last 5 years, he's been with vendor operations, vice president of vendor operations with Corpay Comdata, which is one of the largest issuers of fuel cards. So excited to be a partner with Brian and what we thought we can bring to this industry as one of the, not only the categories we're talking about, but one of the best in class fuel cards out there as well. But just at a high level, GPOs, what we're doing, first of all, it's free to join. So, the GPO doesn't charge you anything. We negotiate fees from vendors, and then we negotiate on your behalf. So we get paid a small administrative fee for simplicity of contracts and things like that. So it doesn't cost you anything, but what it does, it helps you leverage your volume to go in and get better deals. So without a GPO, typically a lot of people can negotiate on their own, but if you look at the collective buying power of just FedEx ISPs alone, with 5,000 ISPs or more, you're talking about 150 to 200,000 vehicles, a lot of fuel, a lot of parts, a lot of maintenance and things like that. So instead of going it alone, one of the things we've done in other industries and really was surprised. A little background: I was working with a startup carrier, consulting them on the GPO space, when I realized that there's not really a group purchasing organization that's covering small fleet. There's one for 100 power units and above of semi-tractor trailers, but what's the fastest growing area, and we'll talk a little more about the market, is the small fleet. But what we're able to do is collectively negotiate on your behalf. At the end of the day, we're just a free negotiator for you. But we negotiate the contracts that are ready to use. We have incentive programs that are built in. Right now, we've got 23 categories of spend. We're going to talk primarily about the fuel card today because I think that's the biggest, hot topic right now. But we've got other areas that you could find a tremendous amount of value in. Again, the contracts are negotiated. All you have to do is plug in, join under the GPO pricing program, but you still have the direct relationship with the vendors. So you're actually doing business and transacting with the vendors. We're able to do spend analytics, benchmarking as much as you want to. We can look at a year, we can look at a month, we can look at one invoice to show you what you would be paying under the GPO versus what you're currently paying now. So fairly simple process. Again, you join. Once you join, we load members into the contracts on the 15th and the 30th. So if you get all your information in by the 15th of the month, we can load you on the 30th. Vice versa, get it all in by the 30th, we'll load you on the 15th. But then you just start buying like you normally would from vendors like Grainger. We have an HD supply program. We've got air gas for welding supplies, things like that. But you just buy like you normally would. You just now are under a negotiated contract with better pricing. But like we talked about in buying power, and I know, a lot of, FedEx ISPs and Amazon DSPs are roughly the same size, but with 2.0, the FedEx, I think FedEx are getting a little bigger as far as routes and things like that. But overall, we're actually working not only in pickup and delivery, but we're working outside of that. There's about 500,000 fleets with 5 to 25 vehicles. And Brian's group, Source Intersect, that we've partnered together with, he's working with HVAC, plumbing, towing companies. There's a lot of companies out there that operate in this small fleet space. Right now, we're in a GPO consortium that's got about $14 billion in spend under management. So we're leveraging that $14 billion for the benefit of our clients. We're seeing average savings about, I think the average is 18 to 20%, but you're seeing average savings in a range of 10 to 30% on our category savings. So with that, and since Brian is actually, again, great background on GPOs, great background on helping organizations scale and grow. But the last 5 years, he has been with Corpay. And that's one of the things I'm really excited about, because we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of leverage we can pull to really bring a lot of value outside of a traditional fuel card. So with that, I'll kind of give over to Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. The GroundSwell team has been very kind to open this up to us and talk about how we can save money together. I think the key thing here, when we think about a group purchasing organization or GPO, Steve covered it really well. We exist to save money for our members. There's no cost to participate, but through participation, we have more buying power. We can save even more money over time. One of the key things about it is the highest expense category that each one of you have outside of payroll is fuel, especially now, given what's going on in the world. Fuel prices are jumping. And so being able to have a good program to manage your fuel is essential. So LRG GPO has partnered with Corpay Comdata, and we have established a card on existing rails. This thing is not going to shock anybody. It's been around for a long time. What is different about our card is that we are focused on gasoline and retail diesel. Before now, most fuel cards are focused on fast flow diesel. And we determined when we started working in this industry that it is very, very important that we save on gasoline, and not only save on gasoline, but that the savings that we generate are available to the card user at the pump. So everything that we're doing on this fuel card is designed to save you money at the pump. And so the Corpay Comdata MasterCard, as I said, it's been around for years. It works. You plug into it. There are no fees. We've negotiated fees out of the platform. If you're the only fee that you might possibly incur is a late fee if you don't pay your bill on time. But outside of that, there are no fees just to participate with the card. We have added incremental fuel savings to the card. So we have a number of relationships with companies right now that are allowing us to have additional incremental discounts to the base Comdata savings that you may already experience. If you know of someone on a Comdata card, we're negotiating over and above that. We have super strong spend controls. So the MasterCard network, when configured correctly, can prevent fraud in your organizations. We know this is a problem for many companies where they have a lot of cards out in their business. But these cards, you can set up the fraud prevention to minimize your risk of loss. And lastly, we have significant reporting capabilities. We'll be improving this over time. One of the goals that we have as an organization is to ingrain our fuel card into your daily process, to be able to basically plot a route stop for your organization and on the lowest possible fuel price that would exist for that route. So not only are we looking at the net cost of fuel, we're looking at applying that savings in the best possible place for each one of our operators. And so along with those benefits, we'll be able to tell you through Comdata's reporting exactly what you're buying, who you're buying from, and where you might be leaving savings on the table. So our fuel card is our entry point, and then we'll move on into our other areas here, and I'll turn it back to Steve to talk about our other categories.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, a little bit more on the card program too. Part of what Brian was talking about, one of the things that we're using this card for not only fuel, but also purchasing. It's accepted at over 500,000 maintenance locations. We're negotiating right now, and this can kind of give you a little insight of how we operate as a GPO. We're negotiating a parts program right now. It's an original equipment manufacturer for aftermarket parts. They're also a remanufacturer, and then they're also a salvage and reconditioned parts program. But one of the things we want to get to eventually, when we have enough the data, is to start negotiating on those specific parts. So right now, we're looking at a national maintenance agreement where we're negotiating a cost plus on the labor. But one of the best programs I've seen in the industry was a Jansan program with about $4 billion to spend. They were actually able to negotiate 187 original manufacturing agreements underneath that. So that's where you can continue to drive costs out of the system by having that data. So what we've got with our card is we're also getting level 3 data for other purchases. So we can say, hey, in 3 months from now, we're buying 3,000 Jasper transmissions a month at our group. What can we do? We're also leveraging our power. So one of the things we've got working across a lot of verticals is, like Brian said, we've got the core pay program, which is very aggressive. We've got 3 additional programs above and beyond the savings there. And again, all this is at the pump. All this is savings to you immediately versus some programs that may pay you out quarterly or monthly in a rebate. We're negotiating to come out immediately because we know you need the savings now. We're also negotiating with another, in addition to those 3, another large national player that wants to grow their gasoline business, and they don't really see a way to do that. So we're negotiating for the best in class program for retail gasoline, retail diesel, which covers 90% of our membership. We're also looking to leverage that to get some of the very competitive fast flow. And part of what we're leveraging, and a lot of Brian's group, with you talking about construction, HVAC, plumbing, a lot of those guys have on-site tanks. So we're also negotiating a bulk fuel, and we're offering this organization to be the exclusive bulk fuel provider by giving us rates that normally, they might not even want to give us collectively. But we're pulling every lever we can to go out and get the best deals on the market for you. In some of the other categories, I know the fuel, and I love to take any questions, but I know the fuel is top of mind. But we've got things like propane, safety equipment, MROs is typically a big spend. We've got commercial batteries if you need, batteries for your vehicle, batteries for your tools, welding supplies, things like that. But I will go through a couple of the programs, but just so you know. And I think this is one of the things that's not 100% clear on somebody that hasn't worked with a GPO before. You're not buying through us. We're negotiating the contract. You're still buying with the vendors. And so I think with some of those like ERTC credits and stuff like that, there were some people that I won't say that weren't up and up on that. We're not taking any money. We're negotiating contracts. You still deal directly with vendors that you know and trust. And these are people like Granger, like Global Industrial. Global Industrial is great for warehouse supplies. You got Staples, you got Home Depot. We've got Ferrell Gas if you're doing any kind of propane in warehouse systems and things like that. Sherman-Williams for paint. So these are not fly-by-night companies. This really works well when you have companies that we can go in that have pricing power that we can negotiate collectively to get deals that you can't get on your own. And I'll highlight a few of the deals too that I think would add a lot of value, and specifically this Hertz program. We just rolled this out. Not a lot of companies, because of some of the accident rates, want to really get aggressive in short-term rentals. But we've got what we feel like are some of the best programs. We worked through a group that I work with in another GPO that did travel, and they found that Hertz really wants to grow in a small fleet. So they've given us, these rates for a cargo van, a daily rate of $50 a day, unlimited mileage. You can do a month for $1,300. 16-foot box truck, $93, unlimited mileage. So these are really good programs. Global Industrial, 25% on things like janitorial supplies, warehouse equipment, air gas on your industrial gases, welding supplies, HD Supply, which is Home Depot, lumber, hardware, stuff like that. So we're going to bat trying to negotiate these programs for you, but we know top of mind. So the way the GPO just at a high level works, we know there's top of mind categories that are big buckets of spend. So there's big buckets and little buckets, or sometimes we call it death by 1,000 paper cuts. So if we can save you some on your big deal, your big categories, some of these smaller ones will add up. If you're saving 25% on office supplies and 30% here and 25% here, all of a sudden that comes up to be a pretty significant number. So that's really what we're doing in the GPO space. And really it's pretty simple to join. Just you talk to us. We can schedule. We can do a savings assessment. Again, that's as much we'll do as much due diligence as you need to move forward. We can do none, or we can do. I've had people do a year's worth of data and just run it up against the current contracts. But then again, we onboard you. That takes depending on when you get the information in, but we can get that done within a month. 15th, 30th, kind of that recurring model. And then once you join, you've got a fuel card, you've got a GPO ID number that identifies you with the vendors, and you start saving.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for just coming on and giving us high level about what a GPO is. Because I know the first time I heard it, I was like, is this like a PEO? What is a GPO? All these acronyms are like confusing me. And so I think that it's great that you guys are trying to add value to this network. And I love more than anything that it's at no cost to the contractors, because these guys are getting nickel and dimed. When I was a contractor, it happened to me, and I just wanted to murder everyone. So
I'm glad you did.
Because I rage as a woman, but I'm glad that there are companies that are coming into this space that are just trying to offer value, and they're taking from vendors opposed to taking from the contractors who have to pinch pennies and find ways to save at every turn. So that's great. I wanted to give some space to answer a few quick questions. Matthew, he wanted to know, what is the savings per gallon? Is it a percentage, or is it fixed amount? Is it contingent upon the different vendors? And just want to let you guys answer that.
Well, it's going to be different on the vendors. I mean, typically on gasoline, there's about, I forget how many locations. There's a Premier network where you're going to save 1 to 3 cents on everything. Okay. Also, Corpay Comdata has negotiated in cash price for credit transactions, so that can be another 5 to 7 cents. And then we're working on another one that most of these you can stack, and we're happy to talk to you about this, but you can stack the benefits. So we've got another national fuel program. They're going to give us 7 cents off for the GPO.
Wow. And
then you can get another 10 cents by joining their rewards program. So you can stack those and get 17 cents per gallon. But our goal is, and we've got this data in the API. I would love to have this. I've talked to a lot of ISPs and DSPs. One of the things they don't want to do is somebody getting off their route too far to go get gas. But you can now. I mean, these cars can be locked down today. If you want to say, I want the 3 lowest fuel costs within a certain radius of wherever my driver is. What they don't want to do is spend time going outside of their route. So we're talking with you guys about putting this in as part of your route optimization. So the vehicles, their fuel consumption. So roughly when they'll need fuel, and we can plan that out as part of the route optimization strategy.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a game changer with our software, is being able to say, here are the top 3 largest savings providers for gas. This is the most optimized way to route your drivers to this. And in that way, the onus is on us to make sure we're giving the biggest fuel savings in the most efficient manner, opposed to just like letting them go where they like to get their favorite burrito, or, where they feel comfortable from, because that's like where they live. So yeah, I feel like efficiencying out this process where it gives the most savings to the contractors and keeps the drivers on track to make those deliveries is really going to be a game changer. I don't think, honestly, anybody else is doing in the space. So I'm glad you touched on that. And then,
Yeah. And it's really interesting too, so, because in addition to the discounts, I mean, we talked to a chief financial officer of a construction company here in Nashville that has about, was it 1,000 vehicles? So one of the things, they've got discount off the list, but there's different markups all over the city. You can go from, 5 miles down the road, it's 25 cents higher. But they're all fueling close to the headquarters, which is one of the highest margin areas in the country. So yeah. There's ways to do that. So you just get fuel while you're out before we can do the analytics for you, basically is what I'm saying. But there's a lot of different ways. If you can save, we've got another vendor that's giving us 10 cents off and some benefits. I'm not sure what their benefit program adds to that.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, if you manage it correctly, you can save 15, 20 cents a gallon, which over time can be a significant amount of savings for your company.
And Tony, one other thing I'll add in is because we're getting the data, because we're monitoring the data, we'll constantly be adding new opportunities for savings across the country. So if we see a high density in the southeastern United States, we'll look for options to increase the savings in those areas, or work with existing vendors to say, hey, we're moving volume into your space. My members are buying from your organization. That merits an additional savings for you. And that's the thing that we can do as a GPO and will do, because when we save you money, we succeed. So
yeah,
it's a big deal for us.
Yeah. And just to go off of that, Ian asked a question. How do you guys help create value in like small local service stations? So like if someone is using something that's indicative to Dixon, Tennessee, and that's the only, Valero in that market. I'm using Valero, but that's a big guy, but we'll call it John's Tire and Fuel Saver. If that's who they use, how do you guys go in and negotiate better pricing for them? Or do you give them like geographical areas, one geographical area where they can have other resources that are comparable? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I'll say this. Sometimes it's just not possible, right? I mean, if a company has a relationship with a cousin or a nephew shop, we might not be able to negotiate with that cousin or nephew shop. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to bring highly respected, high performing companies at lower cost savings in for our members. Okay. That's across all categories, not just fuel, but across all categories. So we seek to do that. And then where we, like I said before, where we have density, where we have negotiating leverage, we're more than happy. If a member brought up a category, I need help with getting flowers for my wife. I need a price for a floor. So that's a crazy example. But I mean, if you send us a category that we can negotiate for you, we're glad to go out and negotiate. As Steve mentioned, that's what we do. We negotiate contracts on behalf of our members. And so if there's a category that generally supports everybody, we'll absolutely go out and try to get that category for you.
Yeah,
there are some groups.
I was going to say, into the flowers point, you think you don't need that, but then you have, a driver that has a baby, right?
Exactly.
Or you have a driver that just had an anniversary and you want to do something nice, but you don't want to pay $75 to 1-800-Flowers. And so if you can do it for $40, then everybody that's having babies gets a bouquet of flowers. So I love that. And sorry, I don't want to cut you guys off, but we're pressed a little bit for time, but I do want to have 2 questions answered really quick. Dave wanted to know about the controls to prevent fraud and theft. So if you could answer that in like the next minute, and then just really quick about tire savings. And then any other questions that you guys have. I want to wrap up and just say like a 2-minute blurb at the end of this. Just let me say my little piece. And then any questions you have, I believe, Steve, you are on our Slack channel so that they can ask questions to you about fuel and tires and anything that they can suggest that they want to see savings and discounts that are meaningful to them that LRG can go out and get for them. So you guys will have access to Steve on that Slack channel as well. But go ahead, I guess theft and then fuel, tire savings, excuse me.
Yeah, really quickly, I'll address tires up front. We're negotiating the tire agreement now. We'll have a really strong agreement nationally for commercial tires and for light duty passenger trucks, van tires. So that's coming. Okay. Second thing, from a security perspective on card, spend per day, spend per card can be locked down. Hours and days can be locked down, so only business days or hours within a business day. As Steve mentioned, certain retail locations can be locked down. You can have total spend purchases per card. You can have only a certain category, so fuel only. You can also open it up as wide as you want to. So if the owner wants to use it to buy flowers for his or her wife or husband, they can certainly do that as well with this card. It's not limited to just fuel or fuel related purchases. So lots and lots of controls here. If you need to see more about that, you can go out to corepay.com and look at their safety and security measures. We partnered with them because they're one of the best in the industry, and they have a MasterCard backbone, which is accepted very, very broadly across the U.S.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tools. We can help you maximize the use of those tools. I mean, I think that's the key thing with Brian's background. A lot of people don't use the tools. So there's a lot of tools you can put in place. You don't want to make it overly cumbersome, but you want to protect from fraud. So we can help you. We can consult with that as well.
Yeah. And I know we just touched on like the small mom and pops, but if there is a small local mechanic shop that they think that they would be interested in meeting with your group, can they help facilitate that, or can they suggest those to you guys so that you guys can try to go out and negotiate for them if that's like all they have in their, geographically located to them?
We're talking to a group of small and mid-sized mechanic shops. One thing we will do, and I don't want to take up too much time, but we do have some agreements for parts, like the transmissions and things like that. One of the things I've seen a lot of GPOs do, they have what's called a contractor or construction desk. So if you've got like a Fortune 500 company that's building an addition and they got a contractor in there, or people doing stuff work for them, that they can buy off of their contracts. So we can set up something like that and give them access to the engines, the parts, the fuel, and things like that. We haven't negotiated a deal for small back to our members, but we can make some of these programs available to them,
which will lower the cost for them.
Yeah.
And one thing that you guys might want to look at is like mobile mechanic shops that are geographically centered in some of these contractors, CSAs. That would be very helpful for them.
One Monday. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing we're any suggestions you have. I mean, I won't go too many stories, but I was with the GPO. We did aggregated sourcing events. So if we've got, hey, we want to negotiate this, let's get some people together. Let's get some data together. We had a $360 million forklift program we negotiated, and about $140 million pallet program. And we saved about 26, 28% on the forklifts and about 14% on the pallets. So that's what we're here for. We're here to help build and grow the categories and help the group.
That's awesome. Well, I really, really, really appreciate you guys giving us all this information. And any other questions that anybody has, again, ask on Slack. If you want them to negotiate for transmissions, rotors, brakes, calipers, all that stuff, just ask them and make them put these guys to work. They want to do it for you. So
we may need some data. So if you have data, Brian loves data more than I do. I like talking. He likes it.
Okay, well, awesome. Well,
we use AI. I'll take some tips I learned on this podcast. So.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you guys so much. Before we wrap up, I just want to explain why we wanted to do this webinar. I know that Jeff talked about that briefly, but honestly, a big part of it was just wanting to show you guys how to own your own data for free. I know we said that before, but there are so many third-party companies out there selling contractor stuff that they honestly already have access to. They're charging crazy money. I just heard of one guy charging $500 a month for visibility into what you guys already own. And it's tools that you don't even need. And so as a former contractor myself, I remember how much that used to suck, and paying for things because you thought you had to, only to realize later that you didn't. So part of what we wanted to do today was just give some of this away, show you guys tools and ideas that can actually help you without needing to spend a fortune. So truthfully, if you're paying other companies right now for some of the visibility stuff that we talked about today, you may be able to stop doing that and put that money into something that actually helps your business operate better. And that's, I think, where we're really different. I promised you guys that this wasn't going to be a sales pitch, but I just wanted to say we're not just trying to give another dashboard or another app. We are focused on using real AI and intelligent automation to help contractors like you actually save money on gas, on labor, on admin time, on routing, and all the tiny millions of little inefficiencies that just eat away at profit every single day, and stuff that actually moves the needle. And honestly, that's why we started the Slack community. We didn't want this to just, be another webinar where everybody jumps off the call and then disappears into la la land. We wanted to build a place where contractors can talk and share ideas and ask questions and give feedback and just help each other out. I feel like this network has kind of taken a turn into like this negative Nelly. I know there's a lot of crappy things that are happening right now, but we honestly, we want to hear what's working for you. We want to hear what's not working for you. Some of them we can solve. Some of them we can't, but we want to learn more about it. And we'd rather build this with contractors instead of guessing from, behind a desk in our computer of what we think you guys need. So when we send the Slack link out after the webinar, definitely join it, be active, throw ideas in there, ask questions, and just let us know what topics you want covered next, because we can do webinars on whatever moves the needle for you guys. And this is honestly just the beginning. Our next webinar, we're going to go way deeper into how we're actually like GroundSwell and our product is actually using AI and automation inside contractors' operations to date, and in ways that this network has never seen before. You guys got a really bad deal with DRO and FRO, and we are solving for that immediately in time. And we're giving away turn by turn, like what you pay for GroundSwell and Beans. We're giving that away for free. And I think once you see where this is headed, you're going to realize this isn't just software. This is really about helping you guys out and helping you run smarter and leaner and just a more profitable business. So the stronger this network gets, the more everybody wins. That's my soapbox. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak my piece. And we love you guys, and we want to help this community thrive. I know I do, and everybody else on the GroundSwell team does. So thank you for letting me go over by 5 minutes, and I'll stop. Sorry, and I said GroundSwell, not Ground Cloud. Thank you, Jeff. I know you're going to kill me for that, but whatever. Blonde. So, Jeff, do you want to come back on and say anything, or is that it? We're going to let everybody go. All right. I guess we're going to let everybody go. Thank you guys, and have a great rest of your day.